Welcome to my home. I have a huge mess going on in our 3-season porch. Let me give you a look at it right now. Oh my goodness, can you even believe it? Oh boy. So we just stored all of the baby stuff in there. And now Yvonne has had her baby early, so I didn't have it all completely, I was trying to paint her room, and then we were going to pull out the stuff she wanted to use, figure out how we wanted to organize it. But that is not how life always happens. So she had the baby, and it was a helter-skelter of trying to find what she needed in the hot. It just was a mess. And then our youngest daughter has been in the process of moving out. She had initially moved out with barely anything with her because she moved in with a friend, and they were looking for an apartment together. And then so they were looking for an apartment together, so she couldn't take a whole lot of stuff with her. So I wanted to get that stuff packed up, and I wanted to get the baby stuff organized. And so that's what I'm working on today. And I'm hoping that it's going to give you motivation to do the things that are going on your to-do list. So let's just hop on into my big old mess. And I kind of feel like this is a declutter too, because if something is cluttered and you're getting it uncluttered, isn't that decluttering? But we're not actually getting rid of stuff. Well, there's one small box I will get rid of. Other than that, everything stays. It's just a big mess.
This room, oh my goodness, what a mess. And how did it get that way? Well, you know what? One moment at a time, one day at a time. You put boxes in there because somebody's moving. You have one bedroom for someone who's coming in, one bedroom for someone who's going out. And so you're getting the going out person stuff in this room and then the baby stuff. But then you have the baby stuff all neatly piled and then you have to go through it because she's in the hospital. So you're moving things all around. Oh my goodness, it's just one day at a time. And you can make a nice mess like this if you want a nice how to make a mess. But how do you clean it up? That is even more important. And starting in one little spot and just going to town. So I knew that I needed to get all of her shoes boxed up. She has a ton of shoes. I have these boxes I got on Amazon, and I knew that they needed to come out of those boxes so they would pack more tightly. So I did that. Then this is all of her stuff on the wall. This also, my intention for it was going to be, well, when kids were younger, all of their coats and their snow clothes and their boots and everything went in here. And so that's why I had the hooks on the wall. So I was getting the stuff off of that as well. And I'm just using whatever boxes I have. So you can see all these baby boxes that we have in the house. I'm using those for the shoes. This room had become a dumping ground, or if you're into the fly lady, maybe you would call it a hot spot. I am at least thankful I didn't do any other storing in here outside of the baby supplies and my daughter's stuff. So at least it didn't become worse than it could have been. It could have held all kinds of things that we intend on decluttering, and that didn't happen. So things were pretty cut and dry, even though it was a total mess. It was really clear on what I needed to do. Some of her stuff was already boxed up. Look at those shoes. Look at those heels. Would you ever? Some of that stuff was already boxed up for me. And so it really was just shoes and clothing. And I'd already decided I was going to bag up the clothing and shrink it in the vacuum packed bags. I had got a box of those off of Amazon. And in general, I had a couple that released and filled back up with air. But in general, the box was a good box. I did find, ask me how I know, if you roll a bag you vacuum packed down the stairs, it will refill with air. Ask me how I know. That is my mode of operandi when I am moving things around up and down stairs, as I'll often roll something down the stairs, and let's just say it didn't work out that great. So I have some mail tape, and I'm just using it to close the boxes so things don't fall out, and also labeling the outside of the box with what is inside the box, just writing shoes. I wrote it on the top and also on the side, so whatever way I happen to pile these boxes, I would know what was in them. And you can see me fighting with the mail tape. It's really because I was using it upside down, and I'm going to catch a clue here in a minute and start using it correctly. If you have a bunch of stuff that you need to box up and you don't want to buy boxes, then I would suggest calling around to local stores, seeing what day they get their shipments, if they would be willing to give you boxes. Usually you have to show up at a certain day or a certain time, whether or not you want the box broken down. So if you don't want it broken down, that might be a certain day. If you're fine with them being broken down and you kind of put them back together and tape them together, that might be another day, But I know grocery store boxes, a lot of people like the boxes that bananas come in because those are nice and sturdy. But, if you have a local spot on Facebook or something for your community, you can be asking those people. They might have boxes as well. People are usually willing to give up those sort of things because it's easier for them than it would be for them to dispose of it. It's a great way to recycle. Here in the United States, it is a long weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. On Monday, we celebrate Memorial Day, where we honor those who have died fighting for our country. And if you are in the United States, I'd love to know, what do you like to do on Memorial Day? We enjoyed corn on the cob being on sale, and we just had a little barbecue amongst ourselves yesterday. So that was very nice. I know Yvonne would like to get out of the house today, so I'm thinking we could take the girls over and get ice cream today. We're really just doing relaxed things. When I was a kid, my parents owned, well, not when I was a kid, when I was a young adult, because I'm about to say I would bring my kids over, so obviously I wasn't a kid. My parents owned a camp on a lake local to us, and on Memorial Day, we would always bring the kids to the lake. And when my sisters lived in Maine, which was, it seems like it was for a short time, they would come as well. And among all of the grandchildren, the big deal was to see who could get in the lake and go swimming on Memorial Day, because 9 out of 10 times, it would be cold or rainy or windy, and the water would be like 65 degrees or 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's who can get in, who can stay in, and then it was usually windy, so when they got out, it would be absolutely freezing, and we would have hamburgers and hot dogs, and then we would get in my dad's boat and go over to this little store across the small lake where they had ice cream cones, and the kids would get an ice cream cone. And of course, there could be fishing on the lake and swimming and all the fun things. And they had a paddle boat and a canoe, and then a small motorboat, which my dad would use. Well, not too small. I mean, it had seats in it. Usually my dad would buy those used, and he would call them a hole in the water that he poured his money into, because when you buy used, oh, I got to tell you about these shoes. When you buy used boats, a lot of times there'll be things wrong with it. Okay, the shoes. Do you remember me saying in another video, if this isn't your first video, if it is, welcome to my home for the first time, and welcome back if you're not new. We had a little mouse family in this room, and this is one of my major motivations for decluttering and staying decluttered, other than, not wanting my kids to deal with it when I'm gone, other than wanting a simple life where it's easy to take care of our home. Oh, you just heard our little baby in the background. I also like to keep things decluttered because I don't want to make a habitat. So we had a tabletop leaned against the wall because we used to have a cafe table. We have since decluttered it. It's gone. But when my husband, like a week or so ago, went to tip the table back, there was a little mouse family that was nested in there. Oh my goodness. And the cats tried to get Mama Mouse. I think she escaped. And we brought the baby mice outside, and our daughter Crecia is an animal lover, and she set up a little spot, like a little bag with their nesting, and she covered it with the cage that normally covers our fire pit. And she was trying to figure out how to feed them, what to do with them, these baby mice. Finally, there's a place in our area that is an animal rescue, and her and Rachel called the animal rescue, and they said, "Oh, you called, great timing. We actually have a mouse expert here today." So unfortunately, only one of the baby mice out of I think maybe it was either 4 or 6 had survived, but we brought the little baby mouse to the rescue sanctuary where this little baby mouse can grow old and live out his or her days. But we never did find Mama Mouse. And so when I took out the green shoe there, you saw me look at it. Well, there was a couple of acorns in each shoe and a little bit of like, it looked like the outside of a seed or something in there. So little Mousie had brought in some supplies and had gotten into Ava's shoes. So I was really glad that I could get all of this taken care of and get it packed up for her so it doesn't happen again. Also glad to get, any baby items in Rubbermaids with lids, clear Rubbermaids, so we can see what's inside. And I was really glad that I got this done on this day. It took me just work hours, not counting any breaks I took. It was about 2.5 hours. I had just over 2 hours of video footage that I am editing down for you. So that just gives you a point of reference on how long it took. And I just was in the zone. I did not want to stop. What that happens to me once in a while, if I am super determined to get something done, then I can just keep going and going and going. But normally, if it's like decluttering in the basement, I'll go probably half an hour, 45 minutes at the most before taking a break. So even if I go back down that same day, I usually require a break after maybe 30 to 45 minutes. Honestly, whenever you have a big project like this, I am all about pecking away at it. And my decluttering or when I'm cleaning is if you know what your bandwidth tends to be, I think it's a good idea to set a timer. Set a timer for that amount of time. When the timer goes off, take a break at the very least and decide if you want to continue or if you would rather plan out what day you're going to revisit the project. I think sometimes what can happen is when we go past our bandwidth, there's just a risk of burning out. There's a risk of not getting anything else done that needs to get done in a day. Normally, we don't just have one project. There's meals to be made. There's a house to clean. There's just other things that need to happen. And if we let ourselves get too carried away in one thing, then we're going to pay for it later on, where it's better to plan how much time you're going to spend, especially if you don't have help. How much time, and I mean, when I say help, I mean help with making the meals or cleaning the rest of the house. But, decide what it is you can do and go ahead and do that and try not to feel badly because we're all in the same boat. But you want to protect yourself and protect your time so that you don't crash and burn at the end of the day, or in these days where things being so expensive, you don't want to get to a point where now you're ordering pizza at the local shop for $25 a pizza or something like that. I love using a crock pot on days like today. If I know I'm going to be doing something that's going to take me a while, I love to be able to throw dinner in the crock pot, and that way I don't have to be making dinner when I'm tired after my project. I would love to know what advice you have for people, for yourself. What are some of the ways that you get projects done without burning out or without exhausting yourself? What is advice you might have from someone else to help them to peck away at these big projects? I think it would just help so much. What are some big projects you've been tackling lately? Are you out there gardening or are you decluttering? I think, like me, there's just a mix right now for me. There's the decluttering, of course, and then the yard really needs attention. And we're thinking about how we can do all of the little DIY projects, patching up paint or holes in the wall from hanging pictures and that sort of thing. And we're just trying to go room by room, but I'm not tackling all the decluttering and then all of the yard and then all of the DIY. And that wouldn't be a bad idea if I did that. But honestly, I do better if I rotate around a little bit. I try to use you guys for an excuse, and I think to myself, I'm just trying to give them some variety in the content. But to be perfectly honest, oh boy, too much in one spot for me, and I just have a hard time keeping my attention, and I just don't want to do it anymore. So I do better if I kind of rotate around to my projects and also take care of whatever is super glaring first. So if I was down in the basement decluttering, but this was all upstairs, I think I would, I don't know, the stress and the exhaustion of just knowing it's there would get to me. Sometimes if you have a big mess, that's also exhausting. It's just exhausting knowing it's there. It's like you get tired before you even do it. And I think we can also get too wrapped up in what is the right way to take it on when you really just need to pick a spot and go at it, pick one thing. That's why sometimes I don't love some of the advice you get as a declutterer because it just might not work for you. Now, this is a laundry basket, and to be honest, is it clean, is it dirty? And I could have washed it, but I thought, well, if I pack it together and things are marked where it came from, I am honestly not going to worry about it because it has been there for almost a month now. So I thought if it was a huge concern, then somebody would deal with it. I really was packing it up. I thought it would work best for me to just go ahead and do it. And then when she came, she could just be loading it up and taking it, which is exactly what happened. So I was really glad I had done it. I could make an argument myself on why I should have left it for her. But there are just times when I feel mentally better if I just go ahead and do it. So this is the one little box I said I did have some things to declutter. These were art supplies that I knew we have other glue guns in the house, and I knew no one was going to be using these art supplies. Some of them were in their original packaging, hadn't even been opened yet. It was for school projects, and now the school year is done. So I boxed it up, and it's headed to Goodwill. And I'm picturing some mom coming in there and finding some great little craft stuff to keep their kids busy over the summer break. And so I'm happy to go ahead and donate and let somebody else have them and use them.
It never ceases to amaze me. I'll get something in my crawl, like I need to get this done. And then I'll find out later, oh, I think that was actually a God nudge, which is what I call it when God is like prompting me to do something, because then it ended up that my daughter came and got a lot of her stuff. So even the pile that you're going to see at the end of this video is like half now what it was then. So I'm turning my attention, now that I got all of my daughter's stuff packed, turning my attention to the baby stuff, and I'm going to get the baby stuff out of there, or mostly organized. You'll see.
There is a myriad of things here. This is an empty box because the diaper genie is in Yvonne's room. I'm going to save this box because I will probably use it for things that I am bringing to donation. I love me a good cardboard box, and then anything that I am going to reorganize or rebox, I'm bringing out to the living room because I'm getting a little sick of being in this room, and I think it will help me just to bring it out into the living room, chat with my girls while I do my work, that sort of thing. This black shelf I do want to bring down to the basement. We don't need it in this room anymore, but I could definitely use it in the basement. So that's going to be coming out. I wasn't able to get everything off the shelf, but that will happen in time. I am super excited to get everything put with like things in boxes, protected, and in order of stages so that we know when Jabari is going to be ready to use each item and we don't lose track of any of it.
Honestly, it is just so fun to even organize baby stuff, pull it out, see it again. And I'm going to bring what I need into the living room, the stuff that needs to be kind of organized into bins and boxes. So stuff that he's not old enough for is going to go in the basement. I have a shelf at the bottom of the stairs all set up. And then some of the stuff will be going into the bedroom. And then some of the bigger stuff that we're not ready to use yet, like the crib. Yvonne doesn't want to unpack the crib in case we do move. She wants to kind of wait and see, because by the time he would need the crib, since he's in a bassinet now, we would know for sure that we're moving or not moving, and she doesn't want to take a chance on anything getting scratched in the move, so she's keeping it boxed up. So stuff like that is staying for now. I don't know if we'll bring it down to the basement or not. Oh my goodness. Doesn't that just seem to be how life goes when you're older and the kids are grown or almost grown? There's just, it feels like this, or maybe it's because I'm older, it just seems like the seasons of what we need and how it needs to be arranged in the house, it just goes by so fast. I feel like I'm always rearranging. And I remember reading this book, Encouragement Key to Caring by Dr. Larry Crabb. And he was saying that we all have eternity set in our hearts, and we're just moving the furniture around in this life because there's a restlessness that we just want to be in heaven with God. So we're trying to make heaven on earth. But I think even more than that, it's just your needs change as a family, and you want to have your home running as smoothly as possible. And part of that is having the stuff you use all the time where you can grab it immediately, stuff that you don't use all the time, put somewhere where it can be accessed, stuff that is in storage for later. You have to have storage areas, and it's just maintaining all of that. And when you're like me, and I've got 7 kids, I mean, there's just things changing all the time. And even while I was decluttering recently, I happened upon my second born son's cricket set. He has a cricket bat. And so I messaged him, do you want your cricket bat? And so he came to visit when Yvonne had her baby. He took his cricket bat with him. So there's just always little treasures I'm unearthing as we go through this declutter. Okay, enough of this chit chat. Let's get going on the baby stuff.
My living room is a hot mess. As you can see, I have some baby items against the wall. I have some empty boxes. I have screens that my husband is putting back in the windows after our house was power washed. The baby furniture and all the bags of things, the clothes that I had packed up for my daughter is around, and I'm going to get those vacuum sealed and put near the door down to the basement so that when I am completely finished, I can bring all of those things down to the basement. I had a shelf for her on the far end of our basement, and so that's where that stuff will go. And then you can see on the treadmill, I have some books in that little square thing, and then in the big round one are all of the baby toys. And then I have curtains there that came out of Yvonne's room because she got new curtains, and so those are going to be donated. And I'm also trying to keep up with laundry, so I was getting the laundry switched over, and it's always good. I mean, it's a 5-minute thing to just go in and keep your laundry flowing, and then it's one of those things that when you get done, it is done. And there were inserts into the hamper laundry basket thing that I have sitting on the toilet there, so I was going to wash those inserts. And then I'm thinking what we're going to do is that has 2 compartments, and we'll have 1 compartment for adult clothes and 1 compartment for baby clothes. But it felt really great to get these vacuumed up, and I will definitely, as I said, be using these when we move. I also have some blankets upstairs that never did get vacuum packed, and so I'm going to need to bring the rest of the bags. I have some large ones saved out that will be for blankets and comforters, so I need to get those back upstairs so I can vacuum pack the spare blankets. We are going to have company again at the end of June, so I need to make sure that I keep all of that stuff kind of handy. But I do like to vacuum pack the spare blankets and sheets, and that way they're ready when people come, but at the same time they're not taking up a ton of space because I don't want to get them packed away too far. Also, if you're concerned about things being fresh smelling, my mother would always take a dryer sheet, and she would put a dryer sheet in with things that she was storing so it wouldn't get that, I don't know, that clothing smell. So these boxes were used, and now I'm going to be putting baby stuff in it, so I thought I would just take a cleaning wipe and wipe them out and then dry them off real good just to make sure there wasn't anything that I wasn't seeing or any dust or debris would get cleaned up. I have to admit I was getting super overwhelmed by all of the stuff around, and I had said to my daughters, I was like, this is why I want to be a minimalist. Look at my face, trying to get those 2 boxes apart. Oh my goodness, I had to slow that down so you could see because it did crack me up. I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, you know? Anyways, I was like, this is why I want to be a minimalist. And they were like, you're already a minimalist. But I do not feel like a minimalist. And I bet any of you who watch my decluttering videos, you don't think I'm a minimalist either. So I would love to be. I would never be a minimalist where everybody just has 1 plate. You know what I mean? I would never be to that level, but at the same time, I am so looking forward to having my whole house decluttered and then just doing, at least it will be monthly maintenance of going around to each spot, each space, every drawer, every closet, and just making sure there isn't anything that has outlasted its season, right? Everything that we own has a reason and a season. We have it here for a reason, but we only need it for a season. And anything that is like memorabilia or things that are passed from generation to generation, honestly, I am looking forward to just passing that on now. I don't feel a need for it. Even photos, I got to be honest with you, we never look at them. So I've been giving the kids their photos, and it might be fun when I visit them to go through the photos. Maybe that would be a better time, and as it was, I brought Tyler, our oldest, his photos, and I just had a great time with his kids sitting there and showing them pictures of their dad. It was really great. We kind of spread them all over the living room, made a big mess with them, but it was so fun. And they got to ask me questions about what he was like when he was a little boy and what were his interests. It was just great fun. And I really kind of love, not that they're going to want, 30 years from now to see what mom looked like when she was cleaning and decluttering, but it's kind of cool to have these videos out there, thinking that when the kids are older and I'm gone, they'll be able to look and see their Grammy or maybe their great Grammy. Who knows, So it's just kind of neat. Okay, I digress. So here are the toys, and I'm getting them all taken out of their packaging. Packaging drives me crazy, especially those little plastic pieces that keep it attached to the backing so that everything stays looking perfect. Although I am probably buying by sight too, it does drive me a little bit crazy. So it felt good to get all the packaging off. The beauty of these jobs is that you can watch a show on Netflix, or you can watch a YouTube video. You can chit chat with your family while you do this. You can listen to a podcast or, some music. When I was in the other room, packing all of the things, I had a Netflix show on. It was the one called SWAT. I had watched one on Paramount Plus of the current season. I was like, oh, I kind of like this. So I decided to go back to season 1 and watch all the way through because I had never seen the show before. I think I'm on the end, maybe I'm the beginning of season 4 right now. So I've got a ways to go, which is good. It's always good to have a show in my back pocket that I can just kind of listen to when I'm really not in the mood to learn anything. I just kind of want a storyline, and I've watched it enough now that I don't even have to watch it. I can just listen to it and kind of picture what's going on because I know what all of the characters look like. So that helps me a lot whenever I start to get tired or just have a job that starts to get boring. I'll oftentimes just put something on or put something in my ears, but I also love just to be all in the living room, chit-chatting with the girls or with my husband if he's home, that whole thing. So there's always plenty to do that you can do to distract yourself. And then there's other times where I just want to sit quiet and be in the zone and focus on what I'm doing. But I did really enjoy seeing all of Jabari's books and toys and bottles and cups. Boy, it's just a moment to thank God and to thank all of you for all that you have done for my little grandson and my daughter. It is such a blessing. And Yvonne mentions it to me all of the time. Like, who would have thought, and how worried she was that she wasn't going to be able to get what she needed for her baby. And she is just tripping over blessings. So we do appreciate you all so much, and I cannot ever thank you enough. And then there's always the person who says in the comments, I'm so sorry, I wish I could have sent her a gift, but I couldn't. But your kind thoughts and your kind words and your prayers especially mean every bit as much to her and to me, and will to Jabari when we get to tell him how many people all around the world sent so much love to him. Can you imagine what a great story it's going to be for him? So all of the bottles we're not currently using and the cups are going in one storage box, and then all of his toys are going in another storage box. And then I did keep some of those things that you might hang or show him at, even this 0 to 3 month stage are in on the couch there, and they'll be in baskets. And I put all the little pacifiers in the little basket, and those will go in Yvonne's room. She opted to wait on the stuffed animals and to go ahead and pack those with the toys to bring out when he's a little bit older. Especially at this age, you have to keep his bed space so clear of bumper pads and blankets and pillows and all of those things. So it just felt like, since her room is small, we would save the stuffed animals for a later time. And then I'm getting everything out of the living room as I get it done. Now that container I just put on the floor, that gray one, the funny thing was I had 2 of those sent from a brand, and I ended up giving them away. And then someone gave her one, because I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I was giving that away. And now here she is having a baby here. So we will definitely be using that. I put some books in it temporarily, but we'll see what supplies she wants. I wanted to save definitely some automatic or immediate organization for her and let her decide. So she did take a whole day and just decide where she wanted to put everything that was in her room. I don't really show it in this video, which I didn't realize, but you'll be happy to know that currently my living room is clean and tidy. There is a little bit of baby furniture, and that's just going to be par for the course, and I'm absolutely fine with it. But the treadmill is cleared off. The end tables and this footstool blanket storage is all cleaned off. The floor space is tidy. Everything is set to right now. But it felt so good to get this done. I cannot tell you. Oh man, when I was in the hospital, I just was thinking about this project and thinking, oh man, when am I going to get to it? Not my ideal that I didn't do it before he was born, but it worked out fine in the end, and it's done now. Also, I get asked a lot, how is Yvonne doing? And she is doing very well, and she is healing. And somebody mentioned that she just looked happy and more refreshed, and that's true. Yes, she is very tired. Of course, new mom, you're always tired. But my husband and I and everyone really is helping her as much as we can. And of course, there's a lot of times when she wants to be the one, of course, to do all the things. But it's been great just to see our Yvonne coming back out, the I've got to get out of the house Yvonne, the mover and the shaker. She's a mover and a shaker. So I'm getting everything vacuumed out really well. And then all the baby stuff I have left will be put against the wall in a nice, neat fashion. But I wanted to vacuum out the spots where it was going first. This is whenever I move anything, I always want to vacuum underneath of it, whether it's a piece of furniture, whether it's boxes, whatever it is. It always feels good if you can get into spots that you weren't able to get into before and get it cleaned out. So this is like mattress and such for her crib. Those are all crib pieces. And then you can see this stroller, the Even Flow Omni Plus. That one's really cool because the car seat comes out of the car and fits into the stroller. So we just got that taken out and put together yesterday. So it was a few days after this was filmed. So that's ready for use. And I said to her, now that we have that all set up, that's going to be great, if you want to go shopping or something, to be able to take him out of his car seat and right into the stroller. She also has a fear of dropping him or him being dropped. So being able to take him straight out of a car seat into a stroller is going to help her anxiety. I can relate to all those first-time mom anxieties. So I'm getting everything cleaned up here. You can see outside, boy, you can't really tell in this, but our grass needs to be cut so very bad. It just, it doesn't stop raining. And then, of course, when it does stop, it has to be a day where my husband can get out there and also mow. Now, those boxes that you can see, I'm going to organize them a little bit better, but a good half of them are gone. And I'm going to see who wants the shoe boxes that are on the left side of the screen. And then I'll be decluttering the rest of those There's way more than we're going to need, and I don't think my daughter wants them. So I know that's a question you're going to ask. Well, doesn't she want to take them with her? No, she does not. So we're going to see if anyone needs any, and then the rest will go to Goodwill because I'm still determined. I've got about another week to go to have my house totally decluttered. So there's lots and lots of decluttering that's going to be coming. So if you love decluttering and watching decluttering videos, look out because it's a coming. Now I noticed that some of the bigger boxes were on top, so I thought I would rearrange them according to size so we don't have boxes toppling over. So that's what I'm doing. Also, you can see outside the red things outside. That's our kayaks, and we're hoping to sell those actually. Okay, look how good everything looks. It looks so much better, and it's going to look even better when I get down there one more time. Those are those shoe boxes.
It feels so good to have that done, and now I'm bringing stuff down to the basement, putting it on that shelf, and I am ready to be done and calling it a day. And what I do generally is I will take baby stuff down or whatever. I'll take stuff downstairs. And then when I get tired, I just stop and I go back to it after an hour or so, take a few more things down. Would it be great to live on one level and no stairs? Yeah, I probably would. But for now, I'm kind of liking that it gives me some exercise.
All that's left to do is get everything put down into the basement. This is my basement pile. And then all of the shrink wrapped clothes are actually gone. My daughter came to get those, so I won't need to do those at all, which feels good. I cannot tell you the relief I feel having this project done. And you can see in the background the snack table, the cat litter. Things are very topsy-turvy in our home, and I am fighting the clutter and the mess for all I'm worth. And coming up soon, I'll be showing you my new tactic to stay up with all of the cleaning and getting everybody in the house involved and how we can let each other know what we're doing, but I don't have to micromanage people. So that's kind of a system I'm coming up with that I'm going to let you all in on very soon. But it was nice when my husband came home that I had this done. A lot of times I'll start one of these projects and I'm just in a heap and he has to kind of clean it all up for me. So I was glad that I was able to do it, and that didn't happen on this day.
One thing that I definitely learned as I was shrinking my daughter's clothes into those shrink bags is I think I'm going to do that when we move because it takes up so much less space because she was coming to get her stuff in her friend's car, didn't have a ton of room. And so she was able to fit so much more in because I had done the shrinking. And I was really thinking so that it wouldn't take as much space in the basement on my shelf. So I am super glad I did that. I hope this was motivating, encouraging, or maybe relaxing to watch me work, or maybe entertaining to watch someone besides you work. Either way, I hope that you enjoyed me bringing this to you. And I can't wait to show you. Next will be I did some decluttering with my friend Heather. That'll be the next video that you see in the next day or two. Remember, as always, God loves you and I love you too. And I can't wait to see you next time.